One of my favorite cast-ons is the long-tailed cast-on. The long-tailed cast-on, as its name suggests, starts with a tail of yarn that you stretch out and make long. Let's see how to do a long-tailed cast-on. You start a long-tailed cast-on with a loop on your needle. You can make a slip knot, but what I actually prefer to do is to take the tail yarn in my thumb, wrap it across, making a bridge, bringing the ball yarn down into my hands. I secure the ball yarn with my ring finger and my pinky finger, putting a bit of tension on it. Then I take the needle and stick it into the loop and twist it round. For the first stitch, I have to hold this loop snug with my index finger. And then to make the long-tailed cast-on, you start by making something like a simple cast-on, which is you come to the base of the thumb and go in the thumb loop. You then reach over and grab the yarn on the index finger, pulling it back through that thumb loop, making a stitch. Release the thumb and snug up the yarn with your thumb finger, putting it back into position 2. Put the needle into the loop, grab the index finger, yarn, let go of the thumb, snug the yarn up with the thumb to make another stitch. And that's the rhythm of longtail. In, pick up, let go, snug up. Into the thumb, pick up, snug. It's a very smooth, flowing movement. 1, 2, 3, again. 1, 2, 3, again. 1, 2, 3, again. Longtail is a very nice cast-on because it is in effect a double cast-on. You first make this simple cast-on stitch, and then you in effect pick up the first row. However, you don't consider this cast-on to be anything more than a cast-on, but it does give a very nice, smooth, even edge. On this side, it has one appearance, and on the other side, it has another appearance. I've made a mistake there that I wasn't seeing. One side looks sort of like a pearl, and one side has this sort of sweeping movement, almost like a comma. One of the nice things about longtail is it is so versatile and so adaptable. There are other variations of longtail. There are many, many variations of longtail. So let's examine one of the other ones. And again, I'm going to bring the tail yarn over my thumb, over my index finger, into the palm of my hand, and secure it with my fingers. I bring the needle in here, twist it, so it twists towards, the point twists towards me, and then towards center. Now, the second longtail, most common longtail variation is one that's called German. It's called twisted. It's called German twisted. It's called Norwegian. It's called Norwegian twisted. It has other names. And basically what's going to be done is we're going to start at the base of our thumb, sweep under the loop, then come forward. This puts a twist. You can see that twist in our stitch. Then you pick up a stitch from your index finger and bring that stitch out. Once again, let's try it again. Well, position it the same as a longtail or slingshot. Bring the needle under both stitches, bring it forward. Pick up the stitch on the index finger, bring that stitch through the twisted loop and down. Don't I make that look easy? It's actually quite difficult. There's a tendency for the twisted loop to be too tight. Here's some things you can do to make it easier. 1, keep the tension on your index finger fairly tight, but position the yarn here over your middle finger so that the position of the yarn on the thumb is much looser. Having loose tension here and tight tension here will make it easier. Bring it both under, bring it forward, pick up the stitch from the index finger, and now bring your thumb close to your index finger. That will also help open up the loop and make it a little easier to create the stitch. So again, through, pick up, this twist in the beginning half of this cast-on makes this cast-on significantly stretchier than a long-tailed cast-on, and it makes this cast-on very, very suitable for a number of things that require twist. A second thing about this cast on is the loop is changed, and you have something similar to a purl stitch on this side, and you have something similar to a purl stitch on the back side. So it's a very reversible cast on. There are slight differences between one side and the other, but it is more balanced than some other cast ons. A third variation of the long tail cast on that I particularly like is one that I call the open and closed, though again, this has other names. Again, we start with the yarn coming over our index finger, and then over our thumb and the index finger, creating a bridge, being secured in the hand, making a twist to make our first loop, and we start by making a standard long-tailed cast on. For the second stitch, the yarn is wrapped in reverse. It starts at the base of the thumb, around the thumb, and comes out into the middle of the hand. This creates an open loop. You'll see here as I've just picked up the loop with there's no twist, it's an open loop. I then pick up a stitch and tighten it up. This is followed by a standard. And then the yarn is wrapped backwards and open. See the openness there? No twist between these two yarns. This yarn and this yarn do not twist, they're open. I pick up the index finger yarn, close it. A standard long tail, here's the twist, wrap it backwards, no twist, a standard, and open. And what happens is we now have what looks like pairs of stitches. You can see between each stitch there's a small bar making those pairs. This cast on is very, very nice with a 2x2 ribbing or 1x1 ribbing. Either one works very well. It's a very decorative edge. And as decorative as this edge is, it can get even prettier. Let's see how. We're going to unravel it. We're going to fold the tail in half. There's the end of our yarn. I'm going to hold this tail in this hand next to the needle with my thumb. Position my yarns with a single bridge. Make a single twist. And now, make a standard long tail cast on. Wrap the yarn backwards. Make an open cast on. Make a standard long tail cast on. Make an open long tail cast on. A standard long tail cast on. An open long tail cast on. When you've done these pairs, standard and open, standard and open, standard and open, you get the bar. You only have to begin to look at your cast on to say, if I have a bar, it's time to do a standard. If I don't have a bar, then it's time to do the open. Wrap backwards, do the open. The double yarn makes this cast on more accentuated. Now this cast on is not reversible. This one has a very clear front and back, but it's with a double yarn, it's a sturdy, very stretchy, very attractive cast on. A slightly scalloped look almost, the way the bars are there. This cast on is excellent for hats, it's excellent for socks, it's excellent for top-down sweaters. It makes a pretty, pretty edge that you might want to use. So there's two variations of the long tail cast on. We have the basic long tail cast on, we have the twisted long tail cast on, and we have the open and closed long tail cast on.